to answer your question, no, we are not going to be talking about any games today. I will be ranting about SpongeBob again, so lock in. I already wasn't much of a fan of like the newer episodes of SpongeBob in the newer seasons. They aren't like the clever episodes we all know that made SpongeBob the successful show that it is. And I mentioned that previously in a video I made about Shanghai being the best episode of SpongeBob ever.
And stop. Don't worry, Captain, we'll buff out those scratches.
And I also want to state at the beginning of this video that this is literally not a big deal at all. I just hate the Patrick Star Show.
Who said that?
So yeah, a lot of these newer episodes of SpongeBob are like the spin-off series that have been created in the last few years. Just a ton of slapstick humor with literally little to no dialogue whatsoever. And that's because nothing seems to be like script driven anymore. It's all just storyboard, meaning that it's leaving the writers up to coming up with dialogue to fit around the gags that have been drawn. And for those of you who may not know what the Patrick Star Show is, you lucky son of a bitch, I'll explain it to you. It was created in 2021 and it is a spin-off series from SpongeBob about Patrick. And when I first saw it, I was genuinely very confused. I thought, okay, maybe like this is supposed to be like, you know, he got like hired to make a show and like that's not his family, that's like a cast that they casted in his show or whatever. But that's not the case at all. The premise of the show is that that is his family and that he made a show himself and that it just takes place in his home. That is his home now. And for those who are confused like me and have watched and seen SpongeBob, you know who Patrick's parents actually are. Like there was a whole episode about them.
Excuse me, does this lovely couple belong to you? They've been standing outside my house saying, "Where's Patrick?" all day. It's driving me nuts.
Mom! Dad!
Wow, son! You actually recognized us this time.
Not these guys.
Janet? Marty? How are you people?
And this is not the first time we see a spin-off of SpongeBob ruining a timeline. Steven Hillenburg was the creator of SpongeBob, and he once said he wouldn't really be like opposed to making, you know, SpongeBob spin-off series. He also said that he never really saw any potential for, you know, spin-offs of SpongeBob. So it's always just been kind of like up in the air on what he thought about spin-off series. But since Steven Hillenburg tragically passed away back in 2018, just 3 years later, in 2021, they announced two spin-off series of SpongeBob, Camp Coral and the Patrick Star Show. Now, when many people saw that, they're like, hey, what the fuck? Why did they create spin-offs from SpongeBob right after the OG creator died? I still really don't know why, and I feel like a lot of people really don't know why. And there's like some sources that say, oh, Steven Hillenburg did know about these spin-offs, and then some are saying, oh, no, he didn't. There's nothing that really confirms yes or no, but that doesn't really take away what happened to SpongeBob and Patrick. Paul Tibbett, the former showrunner for SpongeBob SquarePants, even tweeted back in 2019 that Hillenburg would not have approved of the spin-off Camp Coral. He called the spin-off greedy and lazy. Again, you know, all of this is really not that deep. I'm just yapping.
Squidward! Squidwardian! Squidward!
Camp Coral and the Patrick Star Show are supposed to be prequels to SpongeBob, meaning that this all takes place before SpongeBob SquarePants, but none of that literally makes any sense to the original show's timeline. So Camp Coral is about a 10-year-old SpongeBob who spends his summer at a sleepaway camp called Camp Coral. I hate saying the same like word twice in a sentence. All right, sorry. The camp is run by Mr. Krabs, a single father raising his daughter Pearl.
Say hello to me, Pearl.
Hello, Pole.
And the camp activities are overseen by Mrs. Puff, who
Hey there, Puff Mama. What's today's grub?
works as a scoutmaster and arts and crafts teacher. And then SpongeBob bunks in a cabin with his friends Patrick and Sandy. And look, we all know in the first episode of SpongeBob Help Wanted, Mr. Krabs and SpongeBob meet there for the first time. And there's also a whole episode in the first season about SpongeBob and Patrick meeting Sandy for the first time.
Here it is. Land squirrel.
So it wouldn't make sense for this show to be canonical because it literally can't to like the original show.
She wears a hat full of air.
Do you mean she puts on airs?
And it's not even just like the timelines they're ruining. The series also just creates like whole new personalities for these characters. Like looking at Patrick in the Patrick Star Show, they made him this just completely different character. Like yeah, Patrick is supposed to be the dumb one, okay? But his original personality wasn't always this brain dead character who always acted like he was high on galaxy gas. His original personality is like the classic dumb but lovable character. He often lacked, you know, common sense, and that's what led to these funny and absurd situations.
No, it's not mine.
It is yours. I am trying to be a good person and return it to you.
Return what to who?
Well, I can't take any chances. For all we know, he could be the Strangler.
I'm the Strangler? No, I should have known!
Over to take a look. I'll be over there faster than a barefoot jackrabbit on a high.
Oh, yeah, the rabbit. Don't bother, Sandy.
But in the Patrick Star Show, his personality becomes like way more exaggerated and unpredictable. And like the same thing goes with Spongebob and a lot of the other characters. Almost everyone is this dumbed down version of themselves.
Are there snacks?
Hey pal, you just blowing from Stupid Town?
And I'm not even talking about like just the early seasons of SpongeBob being, you know, peak, right? Even looking back on later seasons of SpongeBob like 6 and 5, you notice a lot of the writing for even like the background characters still hadn't become like this nonsensical act that they're doing nowadays.
Not really hungry? Yeah, let's go see what this fat guy is yelling about.
Witness the terrifying challenges overcome by
By who?
Does a movie like that even exist?
Yeah! Does it?
Well, actually, I was gonna show you this flip book.
Flip book.
Yeah, I don't even know what that is!
They were stupid, yes, but they were created and written with like a confidence which takes away that really unfunny exaggeration they use for episodes now.
I will saw the tables of tyranny in half. Gnaw at the ankles of big business.
And it was really hard for me to watch an episode of the Patrick Star Show without getting upset. Like I really tried not to get upset, but I honestly just kept getting sad. I'm like, this is just like a whole new character. That is no longer the character we all know. And even making the argument of like, yeah, the show is a spin-off. It won't be like SpongeBob. It's still a character from the previous show. It shouldn't be essentially what is a newly made character. It's also strange because these characters are all adults.
Do not cheer me, my fellow adult classmates.
And in the Patrick Star Show, it's like this display of almost naive level of innocence. And I think that's what really makes me feel like, you know, it like reminds me of like millennial humor, like derpy. Oh my god, dude.
SpongeBob is an adult character that acts like a child, and he has a child's perspective, and he's well-meaning, but this often causes him trouble.
And a lot of these characters don't even like show emotion anymore, like the way that they used to. They actually had like depth to them, and when there was actual dialogue in the show, there was use for their emotion.
This is not good, Patrick. This is not good. Mr. Krabs is gonna be home soon, and when he sees what we did to his first dollar... What are you doing in there, Patrick?
Wouldn't you like to know?
And why is that bag on your head?
Why? Oh, no reason. Except you gave me the ugly!
And I honestly feel like if the show was more script driven, it wouldn't be so bad. Like the actual dialogue and casual talking moments from like the previous episodes of SpongeBob always felt so good. They played off so well, and they almost felt like unscripted.
Will that be from your savings or your checking account, sir?
Saving. One time, I saw this magician, and he took this thing, and anyway...
So, you tried to kill me over a little New Age management, eh? Isn't that the red sweaty guy you work for?
Nah, not that word. That word.
Oh, hey, I think I know what that means. That's one of those sentence enhancers.
I don't understand. Is there a gas leak in here?
And knowing like Steven Hillenburg was also a marine biologist, he had a lot of his show obviously based around things that made sense in like a nautical world. Not any of these like weird characters that have been added into the Patrick Star Show.
Asked me to do a comic book about tide pool ecology, and so I came up with this idea of doing this comic book called The intertidal zone, it starred basically all these invertebrate sea creatures from the tide pools in Southern California.
And I honestly feel like the show can be like compared to like Cocomelon in a way. Or like, you know, those children's shows that like rely on color and like insane animations with no storytelling. And you know, maybe that's like what they wanted to do with SpongeBob. You know, make it more for children. But for real, none of this matters at all. And I'll probably just keep watching the seasons 1 through 6 while ignoring all spin-offs.
No!